Hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritland. I'm John Ritland. You can probably see by this that I did not have time to change out my work shirt. I also forgot to bring a change of shirt, but whatever. Going to be filming a SmackDown review here tonight. But before that, worst matches I've seen, part 5 or 6. I forget which one it is. I think it's part 5. Regardless, I've been asking for requests from people like, hey, what's the worst ones that you've seen? Some I've already written down, others, and I got to go through the comments on YouTube and find some more. But there's gonna be enough. There's already enough material on here since I do 2 matches per show. There's gonna be enough material for at least 4 more shows, and that's not including what people have given me. So thank you so much. And my Twitter link is in the description if you want to send me more, or feel free to leave a comment on this video, and I'll make sure to plug Twitter handle. I'll plug that. I'll plug your YouTube handle, whichever one you want. But yeah, there's been a lot of bad matches. There's been a lot of good matches. Like wrestling's really a good art form. It's something not everybody can do, obviously, or everybody would do it. But there's been some stinkers, and quite frankly, I'm here to talk about some of them. And I only do 2 matches per show, so however long the show lasts. So anyway, Batista versus the Great Khali for the world title at SummerSlam 2007. SummerSlam 2007 was a weird event because this was right after the whole Chris Benoit situation happened and the fallout from that, and they had to get better with the concussion protocol and everything. They had to get to where they got better with head injuries and stuff like that. But still, this one was just weird because you had a lot of thrown together storylines. I mean, you had like, okay, example, you had Batista versus the Great Khali. Edge got injured. He was a world champion. He had beaten Mr. Kennedy for his Money in the Bank briefcase, and because Mr. Kennedy needed surgery, shoulder surgery, even though it turned out that after he saw the second opinion, he could have just rehabbed it and fought through it. So unfortunately, that took away the world title opportunity of Mr. Kennedy. But what was ridiculous, by the way, is just watching somebody like the Great Khali win the world title. I get it. You had India-born wrestler, 7'3", 7'4", 420 pounds, and he could and he could stretch his face to about like this or whatever. He could stretch his face to the length of this pad, and even then, that might be saying something. Khali, okay, yes, India is a big market for WWE and wrestling in general. Even TNA's got a really good fan base there. They still treat and revere wrestling pretty well over there. So a lot of the American fans, myself included, get oversaturated on the product. They love it when they get it. But so Khali was a great spokesperson, a great hero to the Hindi people, the people of India and surrounding areas. So that's great. The guy couldn't move for shit. The guy was horrible in the ring. You made the world champion. Oh, yeah, he's a world champion. Yeah, it's a big man sport. Oh, let's make this guy. You would have been better off making Batista the world champion again, even though Batista didn't have a chance to beat Edge for the title. Khali won Khali won like a battle royal, like a 20-man battle royal for the world title. and then had a match, I think it was versus Kane and Batista at the Great American Bash 2007. That was horrifying. Then you had this match at SummerSlam 07, which, my God, it's like the timing was horrible. And Batista's not a great worker, but with the right guy, Triple H, he had a couple good matches with Edge. He had great matches with The Undertaker. And other people. I mean, he had some good matches with Cena also. There was a lot in Batista that you could get out and you could really have some good feuds with, even though he was never the best worker. Khali, it didn't matter what you did with Khali. John Cena couldn't get a good match out of Khali. Taker could barely get a watchable match out of him, and Taker's one of the best at it. But just watching this, like you had where Batista fought off the Khali vice, the head vice, where, to be fair, anytime you watch Khali in the ring or listen to Khali on the mic, it felt like somebody was taking the vice right to your skull, or maybe that was just me. But Batista couldn't really do anything, and then Batista, I believe they ended up causing a DQ, and then that pushed it to like next month at Unforgiven when Batista beat him for the title. But this SummerSlam 07 match is just horrible. I mean, SummerSlam 07 wasn't a terrible event, but just this match was so bad. I mean, so bad. God, it was awful, guys. It was just terrible. But anyway, now I'm going to move on to the Chamber of Horrors 1991 at WCW Halloween Havoc. This is the only Chamber of Horrors match that I'm aware of. At least the only one that took place on pay-per-view. And basically the idea was 2 teams of 4 or 5. I forget the exact numbers. But you had a chair that got lowered into the ring, like an electric chair. This is the Thunderdome cage thing that they used. And there was a switch, like an old switch that you used to execute people, and you flip the switch down. Two problems with this. You had some good talent, though. First, you had Cactus Jack, Vader, Steiner Brothers, Sting, Diamond Stud, who was Razor Ramon. You had Abdullah the Butcher, who was never a great worker. Bloody Guy, but that was about it. I think I covered... Excuse me. I covered everybody that was in it. But... yeah, so like I said, you had that. You had Cactus Jack and Abdullah the Butcher were like tag team partners, so to speak. They were like an uneasy alliance because they were both bloodthirsty guys. But you had this, and Dusty Rhodes describes it on Legends of Wrestling. I don't remember what episode it was. It was one of the ones in 2008, I think. But he described how he liked to make movies, and he would like, he wanted to make, very some productions very theatrical in WCW. Hence the Chamber of Horrors, horror movies, stuff like that. The problem is, it was ridiculous because you had this chair lowered to the ring. Like I said, you had the switch you had to pull down. The problem is the switch was very flimsy, so it would occasionally fall down. So if the chair or if the switch falls down, the chair, even if it's up in the air or suspended up there, should have activated. No, it never activated. And the cameraman kept catching the switch as it fell back down, and Cactus Jack had to raise it back up, or somebody had to raise it back up. It was usually Cactus Jack, because he was the one going to flip it. And it was just terrible because it's like, I think Abdullah the Butcher bled, a few other people bled. There were coffins around the ring. And it was so gimmicky. It was so ridiculous. I mean, this is more of train wreck bad where you can't believe you're watching it. Like, oh my God, what is this? How bad is this match? But it was still, it was comical, and you could almost watch it at least once. You got to watch it at least once to see how bad it is, especially if you're an old school wrestling fan and you have not seen it, or if it's been years since you've seen it. Watch it because you got to watch it and tweet about it or make your own video about it, because it's a match that has to be seen to be believed because it was so ridiculous. And then, like I said, the switch kept falling. Cactus Jack raises it back up. And then Rick Steiner's in the chair, and the switch keeps falling, and Cactus Jack had to raise it back up. And then Rick Steiner hits belly-to-belly suplex on Abdullah the Butcher. And then Cactus Jack flips it, not realizing Abdullah's in the chair. And there's all this pyro and stuff like that, and JR's overselling. Everybody's overselling the whole thing. Abdullah's bleeding, and he's supposed to be executed. And there's even fire in the ring because all the pyro's catching the mat on fire. So that happens, and then these guys are coming like these, ghouls or whatever. They were guys in, white, like, psychiatric, gear, like nurse gear and stuff like that, or hospital gear. And they had a gurney. Like one of those cloth gurneys. Like you could put Abdullah the Butcher on one of those. You need about 50 just to catch one side of him. But my God, it was just so bad. It's like you're watching it and you're just like, oh God, it's horrible. And then Abdullah like freaks out and gets upset, and he totally no-sells all of it. Then again, Abdullah rarely sold anything. He did sell his Hall of Fame ring after getting inducted in 2011, so nice job by you, Abdullah. Shows how much you cared about what fans thought of you. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave that up. Chamber of Horrors is just comically horrible, and Khali versus Batista was just downright awful. God, it was awful. That's what I got to say. Do you agree with what I've said so far? Do you disagree? Like, share, and subscribe. Comment on your favorite matches, or your least favorite matches, worst matches, whatever. And I'll plug you, and I'll make sure to plug your Twitter handle or YouTube handle. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and I will see you soon.